is there a certain age when kids start to develop character?
And I think it's such a good and core question to say what age do kids develop character, because in some ways we all know, and as you've probably seen this national survey of parents conducted by Primrose Schools found that 92% believe that good character traits are so important in helping children develop them. But when you say what is character and when do we develop it, it gets a little bit grayer. What I can tell you is, by any definition of good character, right, where we're talking about whether it's social emotional skills or sharing or kindness or generosity or compassion and all these things that we all care about, it's never too early to start. And what was striking to me about what was found in this national survey of parents was that nearly half of the parents, the same ones who think good character traits are so important, felt that preschool was too young to be teaching social emotional skills to children. And that to me represents a real opportunity for me to help parents understand just how much development takes place in the first 5 years, and that means starting from the day children are born. So again, it's when does good character start developing? By any definition, but we know it's from the day children are born.
And why is it so important for kids?
Well, again, if you just back up and say we all believe it's important because we all care, like what do we want to do? We want to raise children to be kind, caring, contributing adults, right? I mean, that's what we all sort of believe in. But if you think about some of the skills that are most prized in today's world, communication and collaboration and teamwork and empathy and perspective taking and things, it gets talked about a lot in every realm, whether it's business, school, healthcare, you name it. Why is character important? Because character factors into all of those things, right? And what I've learned to explain to people, it's sort of, we know the house we want to build, but we don't know necessarily what the foundation looks like, and it's very hard for people without somebody explaining, here's what the foundation is and here's how it's built, to actually realize that what we do in those first 5 years is the foundation for those skills that we know we want later. So that's why character development is so important, right? We get the real world validation that it's important, but the first 5 years is if people understand what it looks like and how to help foster it in those earliest years, it's a really important window of opportunity that I think is unfortunately overlooked by people who don't realize.
Were there any findings in the survey that surprised you?
Well, it did surprise me that nearly half of the parents thought that preschool was too young, but that may be because I've spent over 20 years in this space as a pediatrician, as a parent. I had 3 kids in 3.5 years myself, and also I actually owned an educational childcare center. I owned a Primrose School for 10 years. And so to me, the world I live in is all focused on how to help parents not only keep their kids safe and learn the skills they need to succeed in school and things, but it's also equally important that I've focused on these skills. The other thing that surprised me about the survey results was that when asked whether their children, whether they believed they did or would be able to learn these skills in a childcare setting, that more than half felt that things like generosity and honesty and compassion, that their child either did not or would not learn those in a childcare setting. And I think that's where there's a real opportunity for parents to understand how to look for those, high quality childcare experiences where that's entirely possible. And in fact, it's a really good place for that to happen, where if your caregiver partners with you as a parent, it's sort of united towards this development of positive skills.
And what steps can parents take at home to help young children with character building?
Well, we know that for parents, this is where sometimes I worry that by giving this message, I'm going to convince parents and they're going to be like, okay, what flashcards and how many times do I do them a day and how many minutes? And the good news for parents is that, what my underlying message from the day children are born has always been, it's talking, cooing, singing, reading books to babies, having warm, caring interactions. We know that the single most important factor for development of these skills is a caring, responsive adult. Okay, so that's great because that's what we tend to do around babies. We care about them, we love them, we interact with them. But the take-home message here is that has more of an impact than I think parents give themselves credit for. So realizing that when you sit down and you have these warm interactions, babies very, very early are learning the core foundations for empathy, how you model behavior, what you read to a toddler in a toddler book about feelings or, relating sort of a conflict at a toddler level and how do you think, Johnny felt or, those sorts of things. Parents are doing a whole lot more than they give themselves credit for. And in fact, parents have long been said to be first, best, most important teacher, and I 100% agree, but I will add to that, I like to call them the really important CEOs, as in Chief Engagement Officers, with engagement and really socially interacting being the key to that. So parents can do a lot starting, very young.
Definitely. Well, do you have any additional tips or information you'd like to share with us?
Well, sure. The other thing, and especially in the context of what a lot of people either ask about or are concerned about, is where does childcare fit into that? And one of the sort of natural feelings for parents is, are you okay leaving your child in someone else's care, right? Like, we all care so much about our children. It's really important to find a safe environment for your child, but it's equally important to find a nurturing environment. Remember what I just said about caring, responsive adults? So the other thing is, a lot of parents want to know is not just what can I do, but what about childcare? Is it possible to do that? How do I, and again, we found from the survey that a lot of people think or didn't have that experience, think it can't be done. It absolutely can. So looking for childcare, the tips I give parents is, first of all, look for a nurturing environment. If it's not nurturing, that's not good for your child, right? Make sure it's safe, yes, but also make sure that the built into the whole approach, and hopefully that people have age-appropriate, child developmentally appropriate curriculum, that equally important to what the children know or what they're going to learn from an academic fact standpoint is who they're going to become, and that there's actually integrated into that curriculum social emotional skill development. It's entirely possible. Like I said, I go deep into the Primrose curriculum because I had 10 years experience with making this a reality in a large childcare setting where we partnered with parents. It was a shared mission. We had the same goals. Sometimes I would share information with parents about what worked, and sometimes they'd share information with me about what worked for their child. But that's what parents also need to consider, is not just what they do, but all those caring, responsive adults in their child's lives.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Jana. Where can we go for more information?
Well, you certainly can find more information about the survey and also about early brain development, early child development on the Primrose blog, and that URL is primroseschools.com/blog. And then also I've got a book that's about to be released called The Toddler Brain, Nurture the Skills Today That Will Shape Your Child's Tomorrow. That is very synergistic in sort of our shared mission of helping parents figure out how to make sure that their kids really get these skills, which a lot of people are saying the 21st century skills for success in today's world.
And where's your book available for purchase?
It's already up and available for purchase on Amazon. And again, you can also find some of my work. I've actually written quite a bit of information that's available on the Primrose blog as well. So in addition to just finding the book and having that available, a lot of the things I write about raising, and especially focusing on early childhood, raising happy, healthy, and positive character trait children is found on the Primrose blog as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Jana. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to speak with me today. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks so much. You as well.
Thank you. Bye-bye.